and welcome back to my channel and to the start of this reading vlog. I am planning on vlogging this week. I don't really have any plans to do any readathons in January, which is when I would usually make a reading vlog. And since I am trying to post at least one reading vlog every month, I figured it was time to just do a random reading vlog. So that's what I'm planning to do this week. So it's Monday, so it's the first day of the week. And let me just go through the reading plans I have for this week. My main focus will be on reading this book. It's Dead Mountain: The Untold True Story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident. This is a non-fiction, and it doesn't look like it's that long actually, so I think I'll be able to finish it this week. So when I've done that, my plan is to start part 2 of A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. I read part 1 back in November, so I'm very eager to continue with this book. I assume it will probably be closer to the weekend before I get to this one. But yeah, my main focus is on reading and finishing Dead Mountain. So I did actually start the book last night. I got to about 10%. So this book is basically about a incident, the Dyatlov incident, which happened in Russia back in 1959. Where a group of hikers were found dead, and the circumstances were kind of mysterious, I guess. No one has ever really been able to figure out how they died or why they died. And these were young people. They were university students in their early 20s. The youngest one was only 20 years old. There were 9 hikers altogether. There were 7 men and 2 women, and they were found up in the. They were going on a hike, which was to go on for a few days. They were to stay. They were going to sleep outside and just be away for quite a few days. I'm not sure how many days. So it was a long hike, but these were experienced, advanced hikers. They knew what they were doing. At least it sounds like it. They were part of their hiking group at their university, and they had been out many times before. So these are people who apparently knew what they were doing. And when they didn't come home, people started looking for them, and they were found spread out in a bigger area, and one person here and one person there, and they were all dead. And they were they didn't really have much clothes on. They didn't have shoes on, and the question is why. It was super cold. It was the winter. Why did they leave? Why did they leave their tent? Because the tent was found, and all their stuff was there, and yeah, and it's just very mysterious, and the answer has just never been found. So far in this book, we have heard from the author of the book, who is an American, and how he got interested in the case and why he decided to look into it further. And we're also being introduced to the people, the 9 people who were out hiking back in 1959, and who they were. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I've read so far. It's very interesting. It just sounds, the whole thing just sounds so strange. So I'm curious to see if we'll actually get any answers in this book as to what may have happened to them. Because yeah, it all sounds very, very strange. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for now. I am really looking forward to continue this book later on today, but it's the middle of the work day still, so I have a few hours more of work left to do before I can start reading or continue reading this book. So yeah, that's my update. I will talk to you later. We finally got some snow this weekend. For the first time this winter, actually. I mean, we did get a little bit of snow back in, I think, November. But it only lasted for a day, and it barely covered the ground. So this is like the first real snowfall we've had this winter. And it just looks so pretty outside today, like, I love it. I kind of wish we'd gotten it in December instead of January, just for like the Christmas feels, but like, better late than never. So it looks so nice. So I am now about halfway through Dead Mountain, and I'm still really enjoying it. It's very good. We're sort of following 3 timelines or stories, so to speak. The first one is the story of the hikers and their travel. It's based on like photographs that were found, journal entries, and it's also based on the story of one hiker who was with the group at the beginning, but he had to turn around early and go home because he had some health issues. So for that reason he survived, and he was the only one who did survive. So we're sort of, he's able to tell what happened during the first part of the trip. So we're following that story. And then we're also following the rescuers, the rescue team who goes out to look for the hikers when they don't come back. And the third storyline is sort of the author's story, which, you know, obviously takes place like 50 years later. And it's the author just telling a story about how he got into the case, how he got interested, and also his travels to Russia to try and find out what happened and the people he talks to and or stuff like that. So yeah, it's very interesting. I'm still really enjoying it. I'm reading it on ebook, and I guess I kind of wish I had the physical copy, just because there are a lot of photographs, and also at the beginning there was like a map and stuff, and it would just have made it a little bit easier, I think, to go back and look at those things as I was reading if I'd read the physical book as opposed to the ebook. But that's just like a minor thing. I'm still enjoying it, so I hope I'll be able to finish it within the next couple of days, because this is the kind of book I'm just always looking forward to sitting down with and continue reading. So I've had a good time with it so far. But I also, since my last update, finished another book, and that's a book that I didn't really talk about, or I didn't talk about in my first update. That's the audiobook that I've been reading, that I only had a little bit left of, so I finished it yesterday. It's Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. And this book was so good. I didn't know anything really going into it. I've probably heard it talked about at some point, probably here on BookTube, because I must have added it to my audiobook TBR for a reason. And I like quickly looked at the blurb before I went into it, but like I didn't really know what I was getting at all, because this was a tough read. It's about a girl named Claudia, and she has a best friend, Monday. And all of a sudden, Monday just stops coming to school. And she continues not showing up. No one really seems to care that Monday is gone, except for Claudia. She's trying to figure out what has happened to her friend. But like, people won't tell her anything, or they don't know anything, or they don't seem to care. And the people who do know something, they won't say anything. So it's just like very frustrating for Claudia. But yeah, it was really, really good. It's kind of unsettling, or it's very unsettling and shocking and brutal. So like, maybe look up some warnings before reading this one if you need that. But yeah, it's amazing. It's really, really, really good. So I mean, I highly, highly recommend this book, but just be ready for a pretty rough read. This is hard-hitting, so yeah, be prepared for that. So yeah, I think that's gonna be my update for now. I'm not sure I'm gonna talk more about Dead Mountain until I finish it, because I don't want to talk too much about it. If you're interested in reading it, I want you to be able to like discover things for yourselves and not have heard them from me beforehand. So. But I'll be back later in the week when I've finished that book for sure. So hopefully within the next couple of days that will happen. So I guess I'll talk to you then. So I feel like it wouldn't really be one of my vlogs without at least one like really dark clip. So here we are. It's the evening. I don't think this is the darkest I've ever filmed, but I mean, sorry, it's dark. It's just how it is. It's Friday evening. I feel like I haven't really updated that much this week, but I just didn't really want to talk too much about the book I was reading because, you know, spoilers. But I actually finished A Dead Mountain yesterday, and I just really enjoyed that book. It was great. I feel like the author just did a really good job of letting us get to know these hikers as much as was possible anyway, and mainly through photographs and some short diary entries, and just like speaking to people who knew them. And like I was just really hit by what happened to them, especially the last chapter of the book. Like I won't say anything about how the book ended, but just the last chapter just really got to me. And I don't get emotional at books very often, but I actually got quite emotional reading that chapter, because like especially looking at the photographs of these hikers, and you see them just smiling and joking around and just being excited to be out, because like a lot of the photos that are in the book are photos from that actual trip. Like they took it on that trip, but before the thing that happened. So like you see them just being excited about being on that trip, and like you know what's going to happen, you know it's not going to end well, and it's just heartbreaking to watch. So yeah, I just thought the author did a good job with that part, and just just letting us get to know these hikers as much as we could. I looked through some Goodreads reviews that other people wrote, and I saw some people finding some parts of the book quite boring, especially the parts where the author tells his story or about his travels to Russia and stuff like that. I can kind of see where they're coming from, because sometimes he talks about quite mundane things, I guess. Those parts weren't my favorites either. Personally, I didn't mind them, but like the author, he takes his time with this book. It's not a very long book, it's less than 300 pages, at least my version, but he tells the story kind of slow. And I guess if you're reading this book and only really want to get to the end and see what might have happened, I guess if you're that person, then I guess some of the parts in this book would be quite boring. But I quite liked how the author told the story. He's including a lot about like Russian history in a way. I mean, or like how it might have been to be a young person in Russia at that time in 1959. And I really enjoyed those parts. So like he's taking his time with the story, which I liked. So yeah, I just liked so much about this book. And I think if you're someone who likes non-fiction, but maybe especially true crime, even though it's not exactly that, because there might not be a crime here, we don't know, or at least we don't know when we start the book. But it sort of reads like a true crime, because it is someone who's trying to figure out what happened and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're into those types of books, you might really enjoy this. Personally, I definitely enjoyed it. And just like, I'm a hiker too, even not at the level that these people were. These were advanced hikers, like sleeping outdoors and for many nights in a row and stuff like that. I don't do that, but like I could relate in a way. So I mean, yeah, this was great. I really enjoyed this book. Highly recommend if you think that it sounds good. And then I have also started a new audiobook, which I haven't gotten very far into, but I wanted to mention it. I started The Guest List by Lucy Foley, which is a thriller mystery. It's set on an island, and so far not that much has happened. I think I'm probably about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours into the audiobook, and we're just sort of being presented to the different characters so far. There are multiple perspectives, and the audiobook seems pretty good so far because it's a different like narrator for each person. And I think it's 5 perspectives, maybe, at least so far. So I'm intrigued, but like not much has happened, so I can't really say that much about it. We're basically just getting to know the characters and learning what secrets they might have. So, I mean, yeah, this could be good, but I really don't have an opinion so far. So we'll probably continue that book next week or later this weekend. So yeah, I think that's gonna be my update. I've already talked for far too long. I have started A Storm of Swords Part 2, but I'm just barely started. I'm just a few pages in, so we'll probably talk about that book later. This weekend or tomorrow or something. So yeah, I think that's going to be my update for now. So I guess I'll talk to you later. So it's Saturday, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about the book I'm currently reading, which is A Storm of Swords Part 2, Blood and Gold. This is obviously part 2 of the Storm of Swords book, book number 3 in the series A Song of Ice and Fire. I'm realizing that many of you have probably read this as one book because it's not split up everywhere. I'm reading it as 2 books, and getting back into this has actually been a little bit challenging, I guess. I'm about 100 pages into it at this point. Because you're just jumping right back into things. Like there's no build up, nothing like that, because this was meant to be one book, so like not any time is spent on that at all. So you're just getting right back into things, and that's been a little bit challenging. It's only been, I guess, a couple of months since I read part 1, so I feel like I remember it pretty well. It's not been that long, but I still really needed to like remind myself when I started to read this what was going on with the various characters, and just kind of taking my time to try and get back into things. And also I realized when I started reading this that I haven't really read fantasy in quite a while now. For the last month and a half, maybe even 2 months, I've mostly read things that have been like very easy to read. A lot of romance, for instance, and just haven't read a lot of books that I really needed to like focus on and concentrate on in order to like understand what's going on. So this book is just completely different from what I've been reading lately, and I kind of had to like maybe adjust my brain a little bit to try to get used to reading this kind of book again, because it's been a while and I'm a little out of practice, I feel like. So it's definitely time that I read a kind of a more intense, maybe even a little bit dense fantasy again. It's not really dense, but you know what I mean. There's just a lot. There's a lot of names, there's a lot of characters, there's a lot of storylines, there's just a lot going on. And yeah, just reading this kind of book after reading like romances and mystery thrillers and stuff for a while, it's different. But I think I'm starting to get back into things now. I'm kind of slowly remembering what was going on with all the different characters, so I think I'm doing better with it now. So now I'm just excited to continue because I really just want to know what's gonna happen, because I feel like the series is just so unpredictable, and like I feel like anything could happen. So far not too much has happened. I basically feel like I'm just familiarizing myself with like the characters again and what was going on with them, and like where in the world they are at the moment and who they're with and everything. But yeah, there's just a lot going on in this series, and I am super excited to be reading it again and just getting back into it. So, but yeah, this book is going to take me a while to get through. I'll probably be reading it for the next week, I'm assuming. So, but yeah, I'm excited about it. So, yeah, I think that was my update for now. So I guess I'll talk to you a little bit later. So it's Sunday. I went out for a walk a little bit earlier, and I continued listening to the audiobook for the guest lists. And I realized that I don't think I talked about like what this book is about. So it's like a mystery. It's set on a remote island off the Irish coast, and there is to be a wedding on this island. So there are like guests arriving for the wedding. The wedding is like a not necessarily a celebrity wedding, but it's between the groom is like he's like a TV personality. He has a television show. And the bride, she's like a pretty successful businesswoman, I think. And there are friends and family arriving for the wedding, and just everyone seems to have secrets or some past, or there's like a lot of jealousy, I guess, going around, and like not much has really happened yet. The author takes her time sort of like setting the stage, I guess. We know that someone will die or be murdered or something. I mean, someone will turn up dead. That's in the synopsis, so it's not a spoiler. And it has kind of happened, I guess, but we don't know who it is yet. So yeah, I guess I don't really have that much to say about it. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I feel like it could go either way. But I've heard lots of great things about this book, so I am intrigued and I am excited to see where things are going. It's just that not that much has happened yet, so yeah. I've also continued reading the other book, A Storm of Swords, by George R. Martin. Let's see, I have it right here. I think I read about 100 more pages since I updated yesterday. And I mean, there's this thing that has happened. I mean, if you have read this book, you probably know what it is. It's a thing that I have sort of seen coming. I have been scared that it would happen, and now it happened, and I'm sad about it. Yeah, someone died, basically. I guess that's not really a spoiler. People die all the time in this series. But yeah, I hoped it wouldn't happen, but it has. And it's just like, I mean, these characters, there are so many, like, paths are sort of crossing or almost crossing each other. Characters that I want to like meet each other or see each other, that they almost meet, and I'm like, it's almost kind of annoying. So yeah, but I mean, I'm really into this book. It's really good so far, not unexpectedly at all. But yeah, it's also dark, which, you know, also not unexpected. This whole series is dark. And like, I thought about it, it's actually kind of not my style when it comes to books. I usually don't like books that are too dark, but somehow I just really enjoy these books. So yeah, I don't know if I have that much more to say. I think I'm actually going to end the vlog here, because for the rest of the day I'm basically just going to continue reading Storm of Swords, and like, I won't finish it or anything. I will probably continue reading it for most of next week as well. But yeah, I don't think this has been the most exciting of vlogs. I think I've filmed every clip from this exact spot. But this is my reading spot, so it kind of makes sense. When I'm not reading in bed, that is. This is where I do my reading. But I've read some really great books this week, so I kind of hope that that makes up for it. So I finished 2 books in this vlog. I finished Dead Mountain, and I finished Monday's Not Coming, and both of those books were incredible. I mean, I really, really liked them, and like highly recommend both of them. And then I started 2 more books, and that was the books that I just talked about. A Storm of Swords and The Guest List. And both of them I enjoy so far, but I don't really have, like, I don't know how I'll end up feeling about them. So I guess look out for my January wrap-up when that comes out to see how I feel about both these books, because I will finish them this month for sure. So I think that's going to be it for this vlog. If you've been following me, thank you so much for watching. I hope it was at least somewhat enjoyable, and I guess I'll see you in my next video. Bye!